and welcome to Aim to Amplify, where we amplify your story on how you connect and how you connect with the audience. I am Xochitl Rodriguez, your host, and I am excited to have my friend here, Kelsey Griffith. She's going to tell us her story, and it is an incredible story. I heard a little bit about it, but you guys know that I always like to keep it a surprise for myself too, and as it is for you guys. So thank you guys for listening, and please remember that this is not actual therapy. This is not actual recovery. This is just for entertainment purposes, only for entertainment purposes. And we hope that you resonate with Kelsey's story and you connect with her. And then we'll give you some resources at the end of the episode or in the comments of the episode if you want more information about her topic. So thank you. Thank you, Kelsey, for being here.
Thank you.
I'm excited to for people to listen to your story because you come a long way.
Yes.
You're a Jersey girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jersey proud, always.
And keep your eyes open, you guys, because if I speak fast, she speaks like 10 times faster than me.
Oh, my God.
So.
Well, I'm really glad that you just kind of stuttered over your words because I might do that. Please forgive me. I get nervous when I speak in front of people, and I've never fully shared my story.
Yes. Well, we're within friends here. So, so thank you for being here. So, I know that you work at the Magnolia
City Detox.
Detox. There you go.
Yeah.
I get confused with all these places, but so I know that you work there, and I know there's a reason that you work there. So we have to start your story from way, way, way back in the beginning. So go ahead, just enlighten us with your story and tell us what inspires you to do what you do today.
Okay. So I am my name's Kelsey Griffith. I'm originally from Blackwood, New Jersey. It's in Camden County. I lived there until I was like 21. My dad and my brother and my family still live there. So I am very proud to be from New Jersey. A lot of people can hate on and tease me about it, but I'm very proud to be from New Jersey. But I was born in 1992. I have a mom and a dad and an older brother. He's 3 years older than me. And, happy life, new babies. I love to watch home videos and look at pictures. I'm like a picture hoarder, and pictures are always very special to me. But, everything in my childhood that I remember was pretty good. It was normal. My parents would fight sometimes, but I was too young to that didn't affect me. I loved my brother. He didn't really want to play with me. But I was just a normal little girl. And like I said, my parents argued. And so when I was 8, before this, they took a little separation, and my dad got an apartment. They tried to make it work. He moved back in. It didn't work, obviously. So they got her divorced, and I was 8 years old. So my brother was 11. They put us both in counseling to make sure that we were processing the divorce and everything okay. I was fine. My brother was a little bit older, so he understood a little bit more of it. So he continued to keep going. I think it had a little bit more of an effect on him.
And different personalities can
absolutely
take healing or even events or traumatic events differently. Yeah. So it can be different.
And speaking to me and my brother, our experiences, we went through the same thing, but what we experienced, the perception, completely different.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for highlighting that because that's very important.
Yes, it is. So, the divorce was kind of messy. We did get put in the middle and asked, who would you rather live with? Which neither one of us wanted to answer that because
they're both your parents.
They're our parents, and as a child, that's your everything. So they ended up splitting custody 50-50. We would do 3 days at dad's, 4 days at mom, vice versa. Every other weekend it would switch. And so I'm trying to think of what happened till then. Again, I always had friends. I'm not one of those that said I had a hard time fitting in. I was bullied in 5th grade once, and then the next year I became best friends with those 2 girls. So I have been bullied, and I do vividly remember it. And my mom called the school over it, but I was able to forgive them the next year, and we became friends. And so my whole life, I've always had good friends, really good girlfriends. But my home life was a little bit more chaotic in my upbringing. So I did have the connection piece with my friends. I was in sports. I did Girl Scouts. I danced.
So you were active.
Yes, definitely.
And I was like normal.
Yeah, for sure. At this time, especially too. And then, 5th grade, I remember vividly I was at school. I did latchkey because my mom would come pick me up at 5. She was a kindergarten teacher. And she would pick me up. So I was at the after school program, and it was some kind of luau party, and I was doing a hula hoop contest. And I remember her coming in earlier and telling me that something happened and asking if I wanted to come home. But I was like, what are you talking about? I need to go win this hula hoop contest. So like, I'm not really interested. So I stayed. And then I remember when I got home, when she came to pick me up, she said that something happened with my brother. And that he got hurt at school. And I came home and our house was filled. My mom's house was filled with kids from school. And I was like, what is going on? And I just went right to my bedroom because I was kind of shy. And I just hid in there. And my brother knocked on the door, and I opened it. And it's like half of his face was very, very puffy. His eyes were both all blood. He had Timberland boot marks on his chest and on his head. His ears were cut open. His nose was broken. He got jumped by these 2 older kids in school. And he got brain down. Like the first punch, he was unconscious.
Wow.
And teachers got hurt in it. And it was a big deal.
Wow.
So it was traumatic. And then after that, we got threats and stuff, from the boys that did that to my brother from his family, and things like that. So it was a lot. My brother was expelled, even though he didn't even do anything. And then from the first punch it affected his brain somehow. So, some issues started then, I would say, with mental health, depression and things like that. And so the dynamic in our family sort of started to shift. And like my brother and my mom were very, very close, and I was very close with my dad, and I still am. I'm a daddy's girl all the way. And, I would go to my dad's house, and it would seem like I'm an only child. And I got all the attention. I had a stepmom. He had a girlfriend for a while. But I was the only child for a little bit because of some issues. And then at my mom's house, my mom was always either on the computer doing online dating. She was on every dating website that you could imagine, or on her cell phone, going on a date. She wanted to find love really bad. And I recognize that, and I understand that he was just searching for love.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it was focused around my brother. So for much of my home experience, I felt that I was not seen or heard at my mother's house. And that I needed some big traumatic event to happen in order for me to receive love or for me to get attention.
Based on the fact that your brother had that experience and then he got all the attention from your mom, you're like, well,
right. And
if I get jumped, then I get, I got the attention. And which is now that as adults, we understand that's a very stupid assumption. But
but that's the message I heard, or I perceived.
Right. Yeah.
And he needed it. There's a lot of things that went into that. So it's not wrong. It's just how it was.
Right.
But as a little girl, my mom would tell me I couldn't listen to Simple Plan, Perfect. I loved that song in middle school. And my mom told me I couldn't listen to that because it might upset my brother, or different don't talk about daddy around Julian, or like things like that. It might bother him or upset him. And so I was always watching what I was saying, or I couldn't celebrate certain things because I didn't want to upset anybody. And I was just always aware of how everybody was doing, except myself. I was worried about if they're okay. Am I going to come home to craziness? Are they going to get along this week? Or is this going to be okay? Constantly. So growing up, is everybody okay? I don't know how I am. I'm more worried and concerned with you because nobody else really paid attention to asked how I was feeling. So I didn't think that was unusual. And so that went on for a little bit. But in that time period, when I was in middle school, my mom was once she had me and my brother, she got prescribed benzodiazepine as she was on Ativan. And my dad said that she really did need it. She was a whole nother person. And it was better. It was good for her. She didn't take them addictively. She took them as prescribed. But I mention this because when I was in between, I would say 10 and 12, something happened. I was upset. I was on the couch. I remember it clearly. And she gave me a pill, one of the Ativan, and said, here, this will make you feel better. So, and it did. So being honest and looking back at my story, that moment was the first time that I was shown, when you have feelings, here, you take a pill to feel better, you know, and then
you can cope with this.
Yes. This is the answer. This is the solution. And not too long after that, I had my own prescription. You know, we all had Ativan in the house. So that was never missing. I carried it in my purse at school. My principal knew I had it. You know, like it was, I had Ativan. And that's really not normal for someone that young to have a prescription of it. But back then, they gave that out a lot more often than they do now because the awareness is much higher now.
Right.
But so we were always on that. So I had taken that, you know. High school comes around. All these issues are still going on. I, in 5th grade, I also won the DARE essay, the drug awareness program, because I wrote such a good story. I don't remember what the essay question was, but it was something about saying no to drugs. And I wrote such a good story because I could relate to that. We have mental health, bipolar, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia. We have a lot of mental health in my family history. So, and drug addiction, alcoholism, my grandparents, you know, and some of my core family, like we've struggled with addiction, and I'm very aware of that. And I hated drugs or alcohol
because you know that side effects. Yeah, they affect it.
I saw how it destroys the person. I saw how it destroys the family. And I was just very anti-drugs. I would date boyfriends and they would do drugs. I dated a drug dealer once. I never did them besides my Ativan. But even weed, I never liked weed. I think I had my first drink when I was freshman. And I didn't really like it, but I did it because that's what everybody was doing. And it did help me feel more at ease, though, I will mention. I noticed I was more social. I could dance. And I wasn't as careful of how I was coming across. Like, I'm always very mindful. I'm a control freak. I'm a perfectionist. I want you to like me, you know? And when I was under the influence, it was just like, oh, okay, this is how I should feel.
Okay, if I was myself kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I felt, again, like, how was the Ativan? I was like, okay, this is nice. You know, this is probably what normal feels like, how I saw it. So then, and that was my freshman year, the first drink. I'm trying to think of anything else major happened then. I also, when I was in 8th grade going into high school, I had stomach pains. I went to the hospital 4 times and they kept marking it off as a kidney stone or a cyst on my ovary because I have had those at that point. And by the 5th time I went into the hospital, they were going to remove my ovaries because they didn't know what was affecting me so strongly. And it turned out my appendix had burst for 2 weeks. I was walking around. I went to Six Flags. I was riding roller coasters and my appendix was disintegrated and vomiting. So normally people die a day.
Right.
I was alive for 2 weeks and I had been to the hospital. So we could have sued, but we didn't. But so I had a major surgery and I was in the hospital for 2 weeks because I had toxins all over my body. And I have a huge scar on my stomach from that. But my dad, I mentioned this because I was on a Dilaudid pump for my pain management. And my dad said when they first put that in and I went, Daddy, I like this or something like that. And he was like, oh, no. Like,
right.
You know, red flag.
Right. Yeah. And I just wanted to kind of take a little bit of a pause here because when we say like alcohol makes you feel like you're yourself, it makes you feel this, we're not thinking about that consciously at that moment. Like, I recognize that now, but
right.
If you have, like, if your kids are drinking or you give, your kids drinks and things like that, they're not consciously saying to you, they're not going to consciously say to you, oh, I feel like myself. You just do it and then you recognize it later. So I think that's a very important, it's just because we're talking about it now, but doesn't mean that we recognize it at that point because I was there at some point. So it's like, I didn't recognize what it was making me feel. I just knew I was better.
Right. Better.
Yeah.
Better version.
Better. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to kind of point that out because I think it's important that, we're not doing that consciously.
No, that's a great point. And it's such a social norm.
Exactly.
You want to sit down. You want to do what all the cool kids.
Especially as a teenager. Kids. Yes. We have such, and we still have, the teenagers, they still have that sense and that desire to fit in.
I think it's even
what's happening.
Scarier nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I just had to mention that.
Right.
So yeah. So you were mentioning that surgery and the
Right. And the pump, because I was like, oh, Daddy, I like this feeling.
So your dad was
yes. And after that, when I went home, I had a pain pill prescription, and my mom left me home with it. I was 11, I think. And my dad and my grandmom got very upset that my mom left me home alone with pain pills. And again, it's just, she wasn't there a lot. We were home alone all the time, and things like that. But that didn't feel odd to me. And so senior year, there was this boy that from freshman year, I was like, I love him. When I saw him, I was like, that's the one. Yeah, it's mine. And then I know, this was my high school love. Yeah. And we started dating junior year. And we were so enmeshed. We'd have sleepovers. My dad allowed him to sleep over. My family loved him, and his family loved me. And like I mentioned before, other boyfriends had done drugs, but I've never tried them. I was always still very strong in my opinions and feelings for that. With this one, I found out that he was doing opiates. He was taking 30s. I got really angry at first. I talked to one of my best friends about it. She mentioned her boyfriend was doing them too. And so between me and her, we were like, why don't we just try it? We'll just try it and do it with them.
So you're not accomplice now.
Yeah. And we did. We tried it, and she didn't get addicted. I never stopped from that point on. It would start, we would do it one day a weekend, then we would do it the whole weekend, and we would start doing it into the school week. And this started after my high school graduation. So in 2010, it awakened the beast in me, full on. And all the things started happening. I was stealing from my job. I was lying. I was being sneaky. I wasn't hanging out with my friends that I normally hang out with. And within a year, I was snorting 30s, and within a year, I was shooting heroin. And that was the one thing that was always like, people weren't really known for doing heroin. That was like, ooh, like
that's heavy stuff. Yeah,
who lives under a bridge does heroin.
Right.
Not someone like me. That's not normal. And I totaled my car. I had all these consequences quickly. It quickly went to
very dark,
a nightmare.
Yeah.
I totaled my car. I was in a psych hospital. That boyfriend broke up with me, and I lost my mind. My dad stopped talking to me. He made a strong boundary. But his girlfriend at the time was the one that called to the hospital and said not to call him. And I was like, she's lying. That's not, there's no way that's true. And then he called and she said, yeah. I was like, he would never do that to me. And then he called, and he was like, no, you're not allowed here anymore. Don't call me. And they literally blocked my phone number. And again, so lost my boyfriend. Same day, my dad doesn't want me. Not that he doesn't want me, but that's how I felt.
Right.
So I went home. I stayed at my mom's house for a couple of months. And then it just kept getting worse. And I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. So I actually called my friend's mom, who reached out to my dad, because I told my mom I needed help. And I was like, Mom, I need to go away, I think I need help. And she said, well, I want to go away too, Kelsey. That sounds nice. And then that was it. It wasn't much of a conversation after that. She was aware of the drug use, didn't love it, but didn't do anything about it, really. I was never grounded in my life by her. We didn't really have rules growing up at my mom's. So I got a hold of my dad. I ended up going to treatment. I was 19 when I went for the first time. And while I was there, my dad was talking to me again, and he came in and sat me down with my therapist and said that I'm no longer welcome to come back home. My aunt and uncle in Texas were willing to take me in and see how it goes, because he couldn't handle the lying and the stuff anymore. For him, the lying was the most hurtful part. And again, I totaled my car. He was so scared to answer the phone because he thought it was going to be I was dead or something happened. And so he sat me down, you need to go to another 30-day program after this, and then you're going to go live in Texas. And I was like, what? And I walked out. I didn't even say anything. I was hysterical. My whole life and my identity is New Jersey, my friends. I know it's just my home. but I get it. I could have gone to my mom's, but I knew I wouldn't have been successful if I stayed at my mom's house. So, there was a part of me that did want it or want to change because I was willing to move to Texas. And I love my family in Texas. They were always like my favorite people. So I was like, okay. So I took time to process it and then I was on board.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. Completed the next rehab, went to Texas. I did IOP here, I believe. My family here is phenomenal. When I moved here, my cousin decorated my whole room with Post-it notes that had positive affirmations on them. And they're incredibly supportive. They're just great people, and they've always loved me and I've always known they've loved me. So it was very different. It was hard for me to adjust, but I did. But the whole time I was like, I want to go back to New Jersey. I don't have any friends here. I don't know people here. I wanted my ex-boyfriend back. I was obsessed with him. And so I moved back to New Jersey after 2 years of living in Texas. And I went back to work at the first treatment center that I had gone to. So I was really proud of myself for that. I was the youngest tech to work there. And I was also an alumni. So that was pretty cool. But lo and behold, shortly after, I started dating a guy and he was in recovery. But he had relapsed behind my back without me knowing. And then I found it in his wallet and I confronted him. And I was really angry, but so quickly I went to, okay, well then I'm going to do it too. And that's part of my codependency is like, well, if you're going to throw it all away, let me join you. I don't want to be alone in this, which sounds crazy, but I didn't have solid enough recovery or confidence or self-love.
Well, if that person loves, you're in a loving relationship. So you're like, why not? Like, I've done it before. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't okay.
Right.
And I go to the extreme. I'm 0 to 100, and I don't, it's just like a whirlwind of things after that. My job found out, I got fired, got sent back to rehab in Florida. And then I was in Florida for a year after that. And that was just relapse after relapse, 30-day treatment after 30-day detox, sober living like multiple times. I just continued to cycle to relapse. Yeah. And I became very, very, very hopeless. Like I was just like, I'm not, there's no way I can do this. I have no idea how I'm gonna ever
Get out of this.
Stop doing this. My family was really disappointed in me, but I ended up in a psych hospital there. My sponsor took me to one because I was suicidal. I had no hope anymore. I didn't see an end. I didn't see a way out. And from the psych hospital, I called my aunt that lives in Texas and she was willing to take me back in, moved back to Texas. And my
aunt,
she's an angel.
Yeah.
Everybody in my family
She's still
that.
She's still
okay. We just were living with her. She takes care of my son. She's like my aunt, mom, and my uncle, dad. They've been married like 45, 50 years.
Well, kudos to you. And love you.
Yeah. She honestly is probably the one that was the most hands-on in my addiction with me. And she wouldn't tell people about it. Like my uncle, she was trying to control me, like fix me, I would say, just get me better.
Yeah.
On her own, because she knew the family would be disappointed or would be like, you need to stop doing this. And she wasn't at the point yet that she was willing to give up on me. She always believed in me, and so did her children. So that was always a really big deal to me, and I'm so grateful for her. She knows that, my brother and my dad are my rock, but my aunt and my cousin Julie, they're my biggest cheerleaders and my favorite people in the world. But so, I was living at my aunt's and back in Texas again. Using relapsed. At this time, my mom has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And there were signs leading up to this. Like really, she would say things that like she would normally say to her kindergartners, but she would say it to me and my brother. She left a note on my brother's nightstand that said, I want Allie dead and a new dog by the time we move out. And Allie was like our childhood dog. And we were like, what? Like, how can you just say that? For Christmas, she sent me like my 8th grade dance dress and these little rainbow like ball hair ties and very weird things. When I completed treatment, she sent me a Cars card that had a pin that said #1 driver. And I got so mad at her. I was like, don't send me this. Save your money. And she would always say, my mind is not my own for years. And
your mom would say that.
and it's kind of very, like, she had an idea that her brain was slowly
declining.
So when she was 50, she got Alzheimer's. I was
Very young.
very young, very, very, very young. My godmom, my other aunt, had Lewy body dementia as young as my mom did. And she passed away from it too. But so at this point, my mom had just been diagnosed. I was in no place to take care of her, help with any of that. So my brother really stepped up. And my other aunt in New Jersey helped a lot too. But so that had a huge effect on me, though. When I would go to see her, it was like earth-shattering, because my whole life, a lot of my trauma, it comes from feeling unseen and unloved by my mom. I never felt good enough. I never felt connected to women because of the relationship and the dynamic I had with my mom. So going to see her in a home, she was the only one that had memory loss in the first home she was living in. It was like an assisted living. So she was like sitting at a table by herself. And she looked horrible. And like they have this empty look in their eyes. And it was heartbreaking, whether we had a good relationship or not, to see someone you love decline like that was horrible. And my best friend came with me, and I remember I walked out and I sat in the corner and I cried because I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to engage or interact with her. I just felt very uncomfortable. And my brother was a hero in that situation, always. So that was very difficult for me. And things just were continuing in the spiral of drug use, rehab, And
that brings up an emotion, and the only way that you learned to cope with an emotion was drugs.
Yeah,
so
the escape.
Yes,
a relationship, love, shopping, drugs is mine, obviously. But so, my mom struggled with that for years. I struggled with addiction for years, and then I'm trying to, if anything else major happened. I had been in a really bad car wreck and my car was on fire and I was stuck in my car and someone broke out my back window. I was on Xanax and opiates at the time and I fell asleep, and luckily I didn't hurt anybody else. And some man, Brad, broke out my back window with a crowbar and pulled me out and was able to save me.
Child.
I know. And my other accident was just, I flipped upside down into a tree and it was very close to a body of water. So, and that time I only had a scratch on my head. So like, I've always felt I've had angels watching over me. God, somebody, like I have a bigger purpose and I'm able to see.
Yeah.
I always felt that. And a lot of times when I relapsed, it was over codependent behaviors or patterns too. Like if I had an interview, if I had a date, things like that, I would get so uncomfortable and nervous. And I think it was just me not feeling good enough, not feeling capable, not being confident in myself or my capabilities. And I would always just go back to using. Like it was just like, I can't do this sober. I can't. So fast forward to 2019, I'm living at my aunt's house still. I had just been to detox and I have 6 days sober. And I come downstairs and my aunt tells me that my mom died. And so she has stopped eating a couple days prior to this. And normally that's a sign. And it had been 10 years at this point.
Oh, wow.
Since she's been diagnosed. So she was 60. And she died in her sleep. But the world stopped. And you hear that when something traumatic happens. It's like I can remember what I was wearing, what exactly was said. And a lot of times my memory's not great, but it's like my world froze in the moment. I called my brother, of course. And he was like, I just need you to hold it together, Kelsey. And that's all he said. And I felt horrible about that because it was like, I knew I couldn't. I don't have anything to offer. I'm so unwell, at that time in my life. I just felt horrible. Like I couldn't help my family in a huge moment, But I did stay sober. Me and my aunt flew up to the funeral. I was sober there. I was shaking like crazy. I was so uncomfortable. It was horrible. And then I came back home and I relapsed. that was a reservation. I had mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
And a reservation is something that you hold on to that if it happens, it's kind of like an excuse or something you're holding on to that if this happens, I'm going to relapse. Like guaranteed, no questions, I'm going to use.
So like a premeditated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I relapsed, I knew it was coming. And it was just so toxic and unhealthy for me and my aunt at that point because she was trying all she could to make me stop she was driving me to the AA meeting. She was drug testing me, watching me constantly. And it was just very unhealthy, our dynamic at that point. She couldn't save me. I couldn't save myself. And it was just too much. So I had reached out to somebody who was a LPC. And she came over and she helped mediate, set some boundaries, guidelines. What should we
not your aunt?
And my uncle. After a few days, we were like, this is not working. So they found a sober living home for me to go to. And I've done that before. But in Texas, I hadn't. So I went to, it's a house called Legacy House. It's still around today. And we utilize them often. But I was a third resident, the very first, when they first opened in the beginning. They knew my situation. They knew my mom had just died. I was barely sober, but I had been sober in the past. Wasn't really, but they thought I was. And they really believed in me. They loved me, and I love them. I'm so grateful for them. But I wasn't doing the things that I wasn't taking suggestions. I was not following the rules. I was doing everything. No, I wasn't ready. I just had this major traumatic event. I don't want to be sober right now. And so I had a behavioral contract. I broke it. So I was being kicked out. And I remember the house manager and everybody was over there. My coworker was there, Rachel. And they were like, you got to go. And we're not going to do it for you. We're tired of this. And my aunt, same way. You're not welcome here anymore. And she'd never done that. So the tough love piece, my dad's given it to me before. And then now my aunt finally was. You're not welcome here. I'll do whatever I can to help you get help if you want that. But otherwise, we're done. The door is no longer open. And I was like, I don't have insurance anymore. My mom passed away. I had no job. We can't afford $30,000 for a treatment that I don't even know if it'll work. I've done it so many times over. And so the owners of the sober living, Kim and Rachel and Leslie, they came up with a list, and it was Serenity Star, Santa Maria Hostel, and Senacor. And they're like state-funded places or nonprofit. And I called all of them. Nobody answered me. I've never heard of any of them at this point. Serenity Star was the first one that called me back. It was a woman named Heather. And I was just like, I thought for a little bit, maybe I was going to go live with my drug dealer in a trailer, horrible situation. But I was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Right.
And he had made a comment to me that he would help me if I helped him. And it was kind of just like a eye-opening situation, because I was just like, I'm not willing to go there. I don't want to be high and escape that bad, is that I'm going to do something that I've never done and that I'm not okay with. So I was like, let's just see what the Serenity Star is about. And the next day, my Aunt Kathy, she drove me there. It's about 3 hours from here. And it's a 6-month to a year program. So that's new compared to all the other ones I've been to. And I had walked in. They live on this piece of land. There's a men's house, a family's house, and a woman's dorm. And the first class that I walked into, they were doing this spiritual chanting. And I've never heard of that. I've never seen it. No clue what's happening right now. And I just walked in and I sat on the floor and I was so scared. And I was like, what did I get myself into? Because I didn't research for the first time. I didn't look it up. I didn't try to prepare myself. I just kind of trusted God in that moment, and took a leap of faith. And I ended up staying there 2 years. I was scared. I didn't even think I could do 6 months. That was overwhelming for me. I was like, okay, let's just focus on today, tomorrow, one day at a time. And I took suggestions. I was open to it. And slowly over time, when I didn't feel like I was ready, it turned into, I really want to do this. I want what these people around me have. They're happy. they're laughing, they seem free, they have a free spirit.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of inner child work, codependency work. It was a high accountability program. When you wake up, the first thing in the morning is you have to make your bed buddy's bed and get them a cup of coffee. You're not allowed to do that for yourself. They have to do it for you. And you work in a cafe on the weekends, and it's a way to give back to the community in order to keep your bed. And then so over the weekend, you work in the cafe, and during the week, you're in groups and AA meetings and NA and CODA, and, all the internal healing happens during the week. And I stayed there for 2 years. So what was originally supposed to be 6 months, I did beyond that. And I spent my life running from everything, and not knowing how to express or identify my feelings. I had no self-confidence at all. No boundaries, I just didn't really feel like I had anything, and this was never the way that I pictured my life going, at all. And that took me a while to accept that this is my life and that I am a drug addict, through and through.
And that you're responsible for it too. Like, this moment
right. Oh yeah. This is my
doing. Yes.
Yes. This is not to blame on anybody else. Absolutely.
Because we tend to blame like the mom relationship, always, or this, or the family, or the addiction.
My mom gave me the pill. It's all her fault.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. It's taking responsibility, and it takes time.
It's taking accountability.
Yeah.
It's a build-up.
It's a build-up. Yes.
You just have to be willing. I always say you have to be willing and be ready to be uncomfortable, because you're going to be. You talked about earth-shattering events and emotions and the most traumatic things that's happened in your life. Because in order to heal, you have to identify it and go through it and talk about it, bring it to the light so it's no longer in the dark growing, every day.
And identify the emotion that you're going to be able to cope at that moment with. And then you took a pill, or you took the heroin, or you took whatever. And you have to process those emotions, because those emotions are like still there.
Right. They don't go away.
Yeah.
So sober, but if you've not identified all your major trauma, and your biggest wounds, they're going to stay there. They're not going to go away.
Yeah.
They're not going to heal themselves. You have to be willing to do the work and willing to change, willing to do whatever is suggested to you by people that have been there, that are now in recovery today. They've done it. They know what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
So they even had a group called Community, and they would call you out if you were doing anything that you were, practicing addict behavior and things like that. They would call you out in that group. And I still have PTSD over it, because I was always so scared that I was going to get called out. But I'm such a rule follower that I didn't really ever. A couple times I did, but it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, finding that place. And it was absolutely a God thing, just in the fact that I did not research it. I took a leap of faith going there. I had no idea what it was or anything, and it turned out to be everything I needed. I met my fiance there, and we stayed 2 years, and we moved into my mother-in-law's house after we left there. And shortly after that, I got pregnant. Which was very scary for me. And I didn't tell my family for about 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I felt like a little kid again from that moment. It was just like I was a little kid. I felt like I just got out of rehab, which I was like in a sober recovery community. I did have some time under my belt, but I immediately was like 5 years old again, scared to tell my family and to disappoint them. And none of them were disappointed. My brother was having a baby with his wife at the same time. So we were excited to go through that together. But nobody reacted the way that I feared. And that's normally the case. I built all the anticipation.
Yes.
And it didn't go anywhere close to what I thought it would.
Yeah.
And now my son is also, he just turned 3 yesterday.
Aww. Happy birthday, buddy.
And he's the cutest thing in the whole world. And he's the greatest thing also that's ever happened to me. Getting sober and then having my son. I have found so much purpose in being a mom. I've always loved and connected with kids, the innocence of them, the free, they're just incredible.
So raw. It's so beautiful.
It's so beautiful and, terrifying at the same time.
Oh yeah.
It's rough. But the purpose behind that is everything I've dreamed about I have a purpose today, and it's as a mom, but also in my job. And that was another area I felt lost my whole life. You graduate high school and it's like, what do I do now? I don't know what I want to do, but I've always known I love to help people. And dealing with addiction, I've dealt with it my whole life, whether it be I'm dealing with one of my family members or with myself now. So I've been on both sides.
Right.
I know how it affects both. So I knew I wanted to help, and more than likely with addiction. And so after I had my son, we were living in Tyler, and I knew I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to do something. I worked for the Texas State Comptroller's office in Tyler, and moved back to Aunt Kathy's. She was like, you're not going to be able to save for a home with your baby and paying for daycare. And very true. Daycare is expensive. So she took us in. We were there for about a year, and we just moved out in April. But it was another God moment is the day that I moved back to Spring, Texas. Previous, I had reached out to a couple people in the area that I knew looking for a job. I was like, hey, I didn't know what this position was called, but it's what I had in mind. And I was like, is there any openings anywhere that you could let me know? I had been a tech before, and I'd been an alumni coordinator. So I had a little bit of experience, but never doing business development. And nothing was available when I had reached out previously. And then the day I moved back to Spring, Rachel, who sent me to Serenity Star, reached out to me and said, hey, we actually just had this position open up, and it's for an associate. So because they have no previous work history of doing this, it's like an associate program. So they train you into how to do business development. And the day of me moving back here, when I was spending all this time worried about, okay, what am I going to go to school for? Where am I going to work? How am I going to get money to pay for, all the worry.
All the control.
Yeah. Huge control. Yeah. Huge battle for me. And I'm aware of it. And still to this day.
Same.
It's bad. Especially with having a child. It's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
But it's real bad, to be honest with you. But that day, and I went and I met with her, and I got the job. And I've never been more satisfied with a job. I've never been more proud to work for a company. And I love what I'm doing. I went to school actually to be a LCDC, and I graduated associate's degree. And I was in the middle of doing my internship when my mom died, and I'd relapsed that time. And then at this point, I was like, I don't really want to be a therapist anymore. I struggle with, I get very wrapped up in the most hopeless cases, I find. And I want to be out here. I want to be able to give them, I'm the first person that reaches them and connects them in their process of getting sober. So I'm the face of recovery to each person and family member. And that's such a gift for me. And I get to be like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what it's going to, this is probably
walk the language. So you can,
And I resonate. I've had a loved one go through this, so I can connect with the families. And then I can connect with the addict who's scared out of their mind about what's about to happen. And I get to be their hope and their face. And I could not be more honored that I get to do that today. And I love it.
Wow.
So it's like whether they're going to come to Magnolia City Detox or if that's not a great fit for them. I want to find what's best for them. And that's something I love about our facility and our team is that we're not going to just, okay, you need to come to us. No. You need to do what's best for you. And that might be a male-only program. That might be a more trauma-focused. That might be, there's different factors that go into it. And it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
You've been personally to several different programs. So you can speak on, we might not be the best fit for you because, you might need a 2-year program or you might need a 6-week program, so it just depends on the situation. So
for sure. And I have a good idea of what is good and what may not be my favorite, and I don't say that to them, but it's just, I have a better idea and I pride myself on, I will go to that facility and look at it and meet their team and ask questions before I ever refer anybody there, because I want to make sure wherever I'm sending somebody who's about to begin their journey that could be life-changing, I want to set them up for success. And Magnolia City, I mean, our team is the best part about us. I love I think we're phenomenal. But for some people it just may not be the right fit, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's huge. I think that says a lot.
So a lot of things about your story, I think that a lot of people can resonate with, because one, I mean, I can see the mom, your mom, and rest in peace. But and it's not, this is not a blaming game or anything like that, but your mom not being actively, intervening with your drug addiction. So and I've seen, because I've been to different groups and things like that and conferences where moms are gathered because they're or there's groups out here in Houston where moms are gathered because their children died from overdose. So that could have happened. So many accidents, so many things around your life that something else could have happened.
Yeah.
And then living a normal life, it's like, oh, well, they just, you just do drugs here, or it's just a pill, or it's just, so it's just like we normalize, especially if you had in your family, social circles. You say your school does it, you were not surrounded by peers that did drugs, but family may be like a little, you mentioned several people had mental health issues and something like that. So it's like, oh, well, we're all kind of dysfunctional in that way. So I'm one of them.
Right.
And having that mentality can also bring you to whole different path. So there's so many things that happen in your story that brought you to where you are right now. And I just want to, and I wanted to point that out, because there's so many things that we overlook sometimes, or that we justify, that we don't take responsibility for our own story, for our own actions, for relapsing and things like that. So it's, it's for everybody out there, it's compassion towards yourself. It's like, you know what? Let me give myself another chance. Let me give myself another chance. Let me give myself another chance.
Being hopeful. Holding on to that hope. You have to.
Deep down, and just please correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt that before, where deep down, whether you want to accept it or not, like, I know I'm meant for something different.
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm meant for something. I know there's freedom on the other side. There's a lot of fear. You have to walk through a lot of fear.
A lot of uncomfortability.
And I'm speaking for myself. I'm still walking through that fear to that, to get like the other purpose. And one of the episodes that I've had before we dawn, we're talking about, it's like every day. It's like you make the choice. Every day you make the choice. Every day, so it's, I think it's a very powerful story of, your life seemed normal. And you
until it wasn't,
and then you kind of you were normal again, and then it wasn't, and then it was, and there was, things like that. So I think that can resonate with a lot of people. So if you know anybody that is going through those stages, first of all, don't ignore it. It's not to ignore it. I mean, Kelsey, you're talking about your aunt and your aunt mom and your uncle dad and family members and people that were there. I mean, drug dealers that were willing to help you. Things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like to reach out and not to overlook somebody that is struggling. That there's hope there.
And they may not be willing at that point, right?
Yeah.
That can be hard. It can be heart-wrenching, but you're planting a seed.
Yeah.
So just to get the conversation rolling and mention things, they will remember it, I promise you.
Yeah. Point them in the right direction.
Right. And to say, hey, you might want to check out this, or play a podcast for them, or drop a book,
Right.
But you plant that seed, and I promise you they will think about that every time they continue to use. And now it's so important with the fentanyl overdoses. Kids cannot even experiment anymore. And it scares me to my core about my son. He's older, but it's like, you can't even risk it.
Right.
Cannot. You try something, you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you have to be so on top of, if you're struggling with mental health, talk about it, reach out for help. It doesn't have to be a parent.
Yeah.
It can be a therapist. It can be a friend, just somebody.
It can be, there's lines. There's
there's like anonymous.
Yes. Anonymous.
Absolutely.
Like that.
And you just have to connect to somebody, because I do think the solution to addiction is connection. There are some people that don't agree with that. I do agree with that. And getting and being involved. Doing service work. So in my work, I get to give back, and I get to be of service too. But doing it outside of that, and just identifying with a group. I have a great group of sober girlfriends in my life. I have my fiance who's in recovery, and then I have a huge family that all of them are, God's greatest gifts in my life.
Once you start operating on that environment, it's like the doors open to more.
Oh my God.
And yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, oh, you too?
Everything. Yeah. And everything works out.
Yeah.
And it's like this picture, I don't know how much time we have left, but Andy just posted it as her cover photo the other day on Facebook, and it's one of my greatest analogies with a higher power or whatever you believe in. It's God, and he's holding a really big teddy bear behind his back, and then there's a little kid holding the little one.
Yeah.
And it's like he doesn't want to give away his little one, or, you know, you don't want to lose whatever you're holding so tightly.
The boyfriend.
The boyfriend. Oh, God forbid.
First of all, it's the boyfriend. So there's other things. But our job.
It can be whatever.
Yeah.
Job is huge. But the moment you can let go of that toxic, you know, whatever is holding you back or holding you down, God has something, whatever you believe in, has something much greater in store that I would never see. I bought a house this year. I mean, I can't, and I'm a mom.
Yeah.
It's just like my life is, I would have never seen this as a possibility. And it's like when I trust and I do the next right thing, and every day I wake up and I'm willing and I'm in gratitude because I've come so far and my life's not perfect, but it's beautiful. And you get to witness those miracles daily. You know, God opens doors, or whatever you believe in opens doors, as long as you're doing the next right thing and you're doing the best you can. Things work out magically.
Yeah. Beautiful. And then also another thing, your story is so interesting.
I know there's so
many things, but there was a point where you were having maybe a very young age, but a healthy relationship with some SSI, some medication to calm your nerves. So so it's not all bad. I'm a therapist myself. I have my private practice for 15 years, and I've seen some teenagers take some, you know, and I don't prescribe myself, but I've seen some teenagers take some, you know, anxiety medication that actually works, and that closes the gap of that, you know, to functioning. So there is a healthy side to that. So if you're skeptical about that, there is a healthy side of using those type of medications. So it's not everything, but just monitor, ask questions, let them express emotion. You know, hire a therapist if you need. Things like
I was always therapy, and I'm on Lexapro right now. There's no shame in that. It's just like I need a little, something on the side, but it's not a narcotic. You know, and it's safe.
And you're aware now of, you know, okay, this is only, you know, this is how I take it. This is so you have your support system and things like that, which is extremely important.
Right.
Again, we can dissect his story. So
I'm sorry if I talk so fast.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, it was.
I get really nervous.
I think I got used to it, so we're good.
Okay.
So you guys, for listeners, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
guys. Thank you guys for listening. I know that this story, there's so many layers to this story that if some part of it resonated with you, we're going to put her social media and her Magnolia City Detox. I got it.
In the Woodlands, Texas.
In Woodlands, Texas. We're going to put it in the comments for the episode. So if you have any questions, it might not be the right place, but you can always reach out, like she said.
Sure.
And they'll guide you in the right direction for anything.
And we do detox, residential, PHP, and IOP. So it's not just detox, even though that's our name. We do the full continuum of care.
Okay.
So reach out to me anytime for anything.